We're here this afternoon to officially rename the segment of South Goforth Road and to celebrate the legacy of a remarkable public servant in our community's history. The renaming is part of the city's ongoing effort to improve clarity, safety, and coordination across our road system. As many of you know, there are multiple roads named Goforth in Hays County. And the original intention was for this road to eventually connect with one of our existing Goforth roads at Button Creek. However, as our community has grown and our transportation plans have evolved, especially with the expansion of Casetta Ranch and changes to our roadway network, the planned connection was no longer feasible. To avoid confusion of our emergency services, 911 responders, and the public, this roadway needed its own distinct identity. When complete, this corridor, stretching from Yarrington to High Road, will span nearly 5 miles and serve as a major north-south connector for our community. Today, we not only resolve a practical challenge, but we also have the opportunity to honor someone whose decades of service have left a lasting mark on Kyle. At this time, I would like to invite Mayor Travis Mitchell to recognize the honoree and share more about this incredible contributions to our city.
How are y'all this evening? I think this is our last hot day for a little while. We should have put it for tomorrow, and I think we'd have had about 15 degrees cooler, but thank you for everyone who put this together. You know, these things take a lot of time in planning, and, you know, our city is really trying hard to honor and celebrate our history and also honor and celebrate the great achievements of the city of Kyle. Just a word about this road. It's very unique and very special to my heart. There's no road that I have fought to see constructed more in my 9.5 years than this particular road, formerly called Goforth. And the reason that it's so important is because it connects I-35 in Yarrington all the way up to 150, and eventually it will go all the way up north. What East Kyle needs and has always needed is better transportation, infrastructure, and mobility, and this road is going to allow for that. By doing more than just adding more streets, it's adding eastern loops and eastern connections so that the folks who live out here can get around without having to get on I-35. So if you're coming northbound, you'll be able to exit Yarrington and be able to come straight up this direction in a matter of 3-4 years, right, Brian, city manager, when we build this next section to get all the way up to 150. So this road has a huge impact, not just for this area, which we expect to see developed in an incredible way, but also for the folks who live in Post Oak and Waterleaf and Woodlands Park. It's going to be very, very important, and over time it's going to be very, very well traveled. So I'm very glad to see this road continuing to move forward. I will tell you, when I first came to the city of Kyle, there's some folks here who probably would have said this, that I was kind of an outsider. I was only from about 2 hours from here, but I wasn't from Kyle. And Kyle has a very unique, long, and storied history. And at first, when I came here, I was not aware of the deep and rich history. But over time, I began to study the history of Kyle. We as a city have kept minutes dating all the way back to the 1930s, if you can believe that. We have documents all the way back to Mayor Mary Kyle Hartson signing documents. We've got handwritten documents and notes from the 1940s when the city council at that time was having a discussion about potential fallouts of if a bomb run came from the Japanese or from any of our adversaries. Can you imagine the worldview of the time in 1940? Well, guess what? Kyle was here, and it had a population. And from that moment forward, the city council was served by a lot of great and historic figures. Many different people served for many years. Only one rises to the level of the longest serving city council member in Kyle history. And that is why this road is being named after none other than Mr. Chevo Pastrano Sr. Let's give him a hand. I lost sight of him. There he is. There he is back at the back. I have served, I think I'm what they call an old dog now. I've served for about 9.5 years on the city council. It feels like an eternity. I could double my service and it would still not rise to the level of Mr. Pastrano Sr. And so it's just an incredible honor for me to get to be the one to introduce you, to introduce your son and your family, and acknowledge the great and historic impact that you made on the city of Kyle. And in the last 25 years, the city of Kyle has changed a lot. It has really transformed. It's not the town that it once was, but the people who were there are still here. And that history needs to be celebrated and honored. I will say that when I first came to the city of Kyle, I felt like the city of Kyle struggled with its identity. And the identity that it struggled with was the identity of what it was becoming, not what it had been. And that's something that it took me years to understand, that there are people in this community who have devoted more than just a few years of their lives trying to make an impact, but entire generations of families who have worked to try to make Kyle the culturally rich, vibrant, small town that it was for so long. A place where, when you were driving by, you would see somebody at the stop sign at Center Street and Front Street, and you'd wave at them, not because it was a small town and you were a friendly Texas person, but because you knew them. That's what Kyle used to be, and it's something that will never be the same. And so one thing that's important for us as a community to do as we move forward is to celebrate and honor the people who made Kyle what it was for so many years. And that starts with me being the one to do that. And I want to make sure that we honor Mr. Pastrano for his decades of service in the city of Kyle. I can think of no better way to do that than by naming one of our main new regional prominent streets, Chevo Pastrano Senior Parkway. And so I won't keep going. I'm a politician, they say, so I can talk for a very long time. But it's my honor to introduce his son, Chevo Pastrano Jr., to come up and give a few remarks.
So grateful for everybody's presence, everybody who has been here to come help celebrate this just incredible occasion for my father. I called Rachel from the city of Kyle earlier today, and I said, well, what is it that y'all are hoping that a family member tells about? And they said, well, there's going to be a biography in the pamphlet that we give out. Can you tell us some things about him that aren't in the biography? And so I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about his family history. He was born March the 5th of 1949 in Fentress, Texas. He was born to a family where my grandfather was illiterate. My grandmother was illiterate. They were farm workers. My Uncle Frank is sitting here in the fourth row on this side. They worked hard. My father and my mother married September the 29th of 1973, but we moved to Kyle in 1980 at the end of 1979, at the beginning of 1980. My dad's shaking his head right now because the house was being built, but I think it was literally January 1 of 1980 that we ended up in the house. And it was almost instantaneously that when we moved from a small trailer park in San Marcos to Kyle, that he became entrenched in the community and wanted to be part of the community and give back and be a part of the city council. And do things at the church. And he never articulated this, but over time and over the course of my lifetime, what I've realized is that what he was doing was he was forming this community around his family, and he was forming this extended family for his own family. And now I get to see the products of his work and the sacrifices that he made, that we now have this group that comes out to celebrate something like this with and for him. And this is something that I now get to pass on to my own child, Gino, sitting right here in the front row, who we all love dearly. So I'm going to share a story about his work at the city council that's not in the pamphlet that I remember vividly. Just right up 35, there's a correctional facility, and he was on the city council when that was being proposed and being built. They're laughing back there, but I have no clue what they're laughing about because I'm going to tell a very tragic story. We were children, probably about the same age as Gino is now, and the community was in an uproar about it. There were some people that were in favor of it. It was going to bring jobs. It was going to bring attention to Kyle for the continued growth. And then there were people that just did not want it. And that was back in the day when there were no cell phones, there was no caller ID on your phone, and people would call and say the most nasty things to children on the other side of the phone including making death threats if anybody ever escaped from that facility. And these are the things that a family that serves a community goes through. And I remember that that's not something that's in the pamphlet, not something that's been shared before, but those are vivid memories that as a child I get to have, and I get to, not a bad way, but in a good way, the sacrifices that he made to continue the growth for this community. We also remember wonderful memories of people like Eloise Romo, Sandra Tenorio, people that he served with, that we would spend time with their children out on the front, what's now a park, in front of the old City Hall. We spent many hours, many evenings out there, and we developed our own friendships that we will carry on for the rest of our lives. But I'm going to share a story that's very dear to our family that probably doesn't get shared very often, if ever, but I'm going to share to you guys about the kind of father he was. Despite the fact that he worked at PEC, was a reserve deputy for the Hays County Sheriff's Department, what we call today a side hustle. He was an entrepreneur that opened up several different businesses. The most memorable one to most people in Kyle was a snow cone truck that we would go around the neighborhoods and sell snow cones on. He was always a good father. He was present. And I just remember that Chris Avalos is here, and Chris will attest to the fact that I know very little about a car and sometimes have a difficult time putting fuel in it. And that's and that's a true story. And that's because my father would always encourage us to go read, go study. We don't want for you to have to live the life that we lived. You'll never know, I remember this, Frank, you'll never know what it means to be disciplined with a switch. You'll never know what it means to go without. He always made sure of those things, and he was just an absolutely wonderful father. I got into my 20s, and I don't think it's much of a secret, it's just not talked about all that much, but I got sick. I got incredibly sick, and I was progressively getting sicker, and alcoholism took over my life. And my dad was there for me all through the way, and I know that he felt incredibly helpless. And there came a point in time when it was my last night to have a drink, and I was not in good shape. And I remember he came to get me, and he asked if I was okay, and I finally said, no, I need help. And he was a father, and he took me to people that could help me and take care of me. And these are the stories when you hear about a politician who serves its community that you don't get to hear about the things that happen at home. But he was a wonderful father. He's been a wonderful father to all of us. He's been a wonderful grandfather. On the way here, I told Gino he's good for $20, man. And so Dad, congratulations. Congratulations. We love you. This community loves you. You've done well. You've served Kyle well. You've served Hays County well. And we're very proud of you.